Enter the crib. Your Strike Back sit rep starts in 3, 2, 1. Wait, do we go on 0? All
right, welcome back, Meavers. The sit rep here for episode 2. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Deb.
And we have, of course, our Jack's Facts later for you, and our visit from Dan MacPherson to find out why this week again was not Wyatt's fault, despite the fact that we all know it was. And our special guest, we are so excited to introduce you guys to Sjaan Gillings, the makeup and hair and costume designer for the past 2 years. We had a lovely chat with her, so stick around for that. First, of course, we're going to do our review. There are spoilers ahead. You have been warned. All right, Deb, what did you think of episode 2?
I really liked, I think this is probably one of the best episode 2s ever in the entire series. Because, you know, there's always that little bit of a lull after the exciting, you know, premiere.
Yeah.
But man, this just ramped it up. There was no lull in this whatsoever. It just kept building and kept building. You know, I mean, it was just action from word one.
Yeah.
What do we have? Like 3 minutes of downtime?
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no lack of like fights to pick from this episode.
Know.
Yeah, like so much. It was great. I thought, you know, some really great background with the DiMacchi family, getting to see some more Ivana Milosevic, which is really cool. Speaking of Meavers, you are going to be hearing from her later this season, so we're excited from that. We just got that word. But yeah,
and congratulations on the new baby.
Yes. Yeah.
Ivana.
So yeah, super exciting episode 2. So let's jump right into it then. Okay. What was your fight of the night?
You said it, man. There were plenty of fights in this, and it's really tough to choose. I mean, they were all really good, and everybody, you know, maybe not Cheddar's, but everybody had like a standout moment as far as fighting.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I think that Cheaters was my favorite fight. Okay, no. Now the Meat Packers are my favorite fight.
Yeah. And cool locations, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no. I think Coltrane on the Train was my favorite. Yeah. Okay, no, Mac in the Barn was my favorite. I think probably my favorite fight was actually Wyatt in the meatpacking place.
Okay.
And the reason is not that it was like the most amazing fight, or it was because you could really see the improvement in Dan's fighting skills in that fight. I mean, there used to be, I'm sorry, Dan, but there used to be sort of, you could see him thinking about what he had to do next when he was fighting. And that's gone. I mean, that was instinct. It was muscle memory. You know, he had the fight down cold. And so you didn't see that hesitation at all. And he's just gotten really good at making each movement very impactful. Yeah. So, you know, they were all really good fights. And there were, you know, more intense fights. But you could really get that sense of, I'm fighting for my life here. Even though when he first got into the fight, when it first started, you know, you had that sense like, okay, this is just another get the guys out of my way sort of thing. And then it just like, you know, ramped up when they started bringing in cleavers and
saws and spray and blood.
Yeah. So and he did a really good job of portraying that, oh, geez, I'm really in a fight for my life here, you know? And it just, you really saw how good he's gotten at it. And you could really see his strength coming through. It wasn't just quick movements anymore. It was like, I'm really going to hit this guy. And you got that sense that, we know it was, you know, it was a stunt and he didn't really hit the guy, but it really looked real in this fight. And so congratulations, Dan. You, so good. How about yours?
So I would say Coltrane on the Train. I love, one, just getting to say that. But two, I always love a really well done train fight where you have the movement of where you're fighting play into the fighting. I just think that it's such an interesting thing to watch. And I thought they did, you know, a really great job with that. Plus, you know, Coltrane getting his ass kicked and then being able to come back, you know, like he's Man, Jamie Bamber is so good at everything. Let's be real. He's phenomenal. But yes, and I know our Bamber fans will be very excited by Coltrane on a Train. So yeah, no, I just love that dynamic of the movement in the same way that, last season I love like a good elevator fight because of the compactness of it. Yes, I get it's not a really real elevator that they're fighting in when they shoot, whatever. Okay. but I really enjoyed that. Of course, then getting to see like that with like Warren on the front of the other little train car, like coming forward and everything, that was just really great.
One thing I really loved about that fight was, Coltrane's just like, hurry up, get here, help me. And, Mac makes it in the train, shoves the door open, looks in, and is like, I'm going to save the day. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hey, boss, I need some help. So in the end, it was still Coltrane who saved his own butt.
Yeah.
Which was hysterical. And the look on Mac's face when they threw the guy out and the
thing goes over him. Yes.
It was you don't usually get that out of the characters. You don't usually get a reaction to something. And the look on his face was just hysterical. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was probably the look on all of our faces.
So, yeah, I shut my eyes. I'm like, oh, I don't want to see that. And I will say, one of the things I truly loved about that train car was, yet again, I don't know, is Jack just indulging our love of fruit stand fights? Because there was like boxes of veggies and stuff in there that they were throwing around. I'm like, he turned the train into a fruit stand.
That's hilarious. I hadn't even thought about that.
That was really funny.
That is really funny.
We've had how many fruit and veggie stands?
Oh my God.
Has already been in 2 episodes this time.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say my favorite emotional moment because, yeah, so it makes me worry just saying it, is Novin and Wyatt talking about what a great CO Mac is going to be. And I just, I'm like, I feel like something's going to happen. Why, Mac's going to get all excited and then they're going to turn him down because of something, or he's going to go off the deep end. I don't know. But I literally said,
I mean, if they're going to make him a CO, we know what that means.
Yeah, right. I know. He becomes CO and then dies at the last episode. But I literally said, "Aww," out loud to Novin's he's going to do it. Boy's got CO written all over him. And then Wyatt, he's like, for what it's worth, if you were my CO, I'd be happy to follow you. And I was just like, oh, shit.
I did love the little, the exchange where they were giving each other shit about, that's as believable as you being an officer, and you being a great shot.
Yeah.
What do you think Adrisi has to say about that?
Yes. Yeah, that was really funny. So, all right, what about you?
There were several emotional moments in this one. I mean, and it was all the baddies having some pretty big emotional moments. Was, Zayef, when you don't know he's Zayef, we did, but they didn't, talking about everyone in his village being wiped out. And, another great example of how this show humanizes the baddies. We always understand their motivation, and we're always in that gray area of who's really good and who's really bad, and that no one is truly just one or the other. And you got that from all of the baddies tonight. You got some of their backstory and some of their motivation. So I loved that exchange there where we kind of got, okay, well, this is where Zayef and Mahir are coming from. Maybe. We also got it from Damachi a lot. Clearly this is all about family, or possibly he's just using family to justify his own, unbelievable rage. I mean, I believed it when he was talking about that he is doing this for his family, and the emotional moment when he was saying goodbye to his family was I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Not
He was
enjoyed.
great.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I mean, he really brought humanity to this
Yeah.
awful person. But the moment that just left me cold was right at the end when we thought it was over with the team, and then they come to Damachi's wake and her, saying this is the blood feud, and then breaking that fourth wall and just staring right at us. It was like, oh, she,
Yeah.
she's really the power here, and this is going to get ugly. So,
No, yeah, absolutely. Oh man, she is so good.
yeah.
Yes, that was very chilling when she did that, and we will definitely be seeing her again. Vendetta, right? I mean, that's the name of the season. So
Exactly.
okay, so your what the fuck moment?
Oh, kind of a few here, huh? It's it was hard to pick one. There wasn't like a big huge one for me, but I think what really just made me angry as my what the fuck moment. First of all, fridging the instructor. I mean, I get it. We needed to know just how far this guy was willing to go, but we didn't maybe need to do that, Jack. But Wyatt taking the money.
Yeah.
That it wasn't this huge moment that we're used to saying is our what the fucks, but man, that was just like,
But it's a bad sign.
He just went Merc, Oh,
Yeah.
it just made me sad.
I mean, it's what we were talking about last week. I mean, that is, yeah, it's one more step down a line that I wonder if he's gonna cross. And I mean, this is him. I guess he just did. But I guess I'm hoping that his actions, like, I mean, that is an action.
Like, how is he going to redeem that? Yeah. Like,
yes. So that was going to be my what the fuck moment. But I will talk about a different one, which is Ariana Damachi basically telling her son, like, to suck it up when the dad kills the boy. Which I thought, wow, she is one cold fucking mom. Like, the dad is a psychopath and a homophobe and just like and not a psychopath because he obviously cares about his family and whatever, but he is just a terrible person. But she was cold about it.
Yeah.
Like, she just didn't give a shit. There was no rage. It was just,
do your job.
Yeah, you get to inherit all this. Get over it. And I just thought that was my, like, what the fuck? Aside from, Wyatt taking the money, which was bad. So bad.
Yeah. But you see it when the interchange between Damachi and Zayef Mahir on the train, there's no honor in this. This is business. And with her, oh no, this is all personal.
Absolutely. All right. Well, your predictions for the future? Or worries at this point?
I think it's that thing that we don't want to talk about, that I do not. It's making me really nervous that Mac's going to become an officer, because we know what happens to the COs. So, oh my God, that I just, I don't want to think about it. And this isn't a prediction or anything or what I want to see, but I love that the whole keep it quiet thing keeps coming up. There's like, throughout that whole episode, there were little gems that Jack just placed. Like, take him when Damachi is, saying to kill Coltrane, is like, and do it quietly.
Yeah.
And then the whole, what the hell, Dan, doing the nasty with that.
Having sex while they're fighting.
Yeah.
with his microphone still on.
Exactly. And the best thing is, there was that line of, Bravo 2, are you coming?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it brought me right back to Vengeance when they were when Scott and was in the hut and was about to have sex. And she says, El Soldat's men could come at any time.
Yeah.
Like, there's always these little jokes through each thing, and I just thought, oh my God, that's so funny. But yeah. So I'm nervous about what's going to happen with Mac. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Damachi, because that was one cold ending, man. Just, ugh. And I'm just nervous about where everyone's at.
Yeah.
It's just, there was the funny lines right at the end with, I'd never call you short.
Yeah.
But it just left me nervous for everyone, especially Mac.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, my predictions are more just concerns at this point. Other than, Ivana coming back, which I am excited. I'm sure, I mean, like, they don't leave it like that and then her not come back, which is exciting. Wyatt.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good. As much as we joke about him being his fault, he may really do something that leads us to go, like, it's not a joke anymore. I was surprised we didn't see more references to Novan killing that civilian this episode. I'm intrigued if that will come back again. That was such a big moment for her. I don't see how they couldn't address it again. So yeah, I think, and then of course, everything seems really happy about Mac, which is always a bad sign.
That's just the worst sign.
Which is just terrible. Why we love this show so much.
Yeah. And did you get a little angry that they all left him behind? Like, they didn't all have to go after Mahir. Someone could have gone and checked on him.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was their orders. I don't know. Yes.
You couldn't let one person go check on him?
Then you would have had that amazing barn fight where he almost died.
That's true. That was a pretty massive train hit, too.
It was.
Woo.
Oh, my God.
That was scary.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it for episode 2. Stay tuned for Jack's Facts, and then hear from Dan, and then Sjaan Gillings.
We've got Overwatch. Jack's Facts coming in.
All right, guys, we are back with your Jack's Facts, exclusive behind-the-scenes content from showrunner, executive producer, and writer Jack Lothian. Episode 2. Originally, Mac gave his opinion that the ISIS-style propaganda video wasn't exactly Herbie Goes Bananas, but we got notes that this might be too obscure a joke, so it switched to Weekend at Bernie's, which is Mac's second favorite film after Herbie Goes Bananas. That would definitely have been way too obscure for me. I have no idea what that is.
What? Herbie the Love Bug.
Oh, that seems vaguely familiar. No, I would not have gotten that.
Oh, man. Okay. Cheetahs. Okay, didn't you think it's spelled cheetah?
I wrote it down. I wrote down, is it cheaters or cheetahs? Because I couldn't understand when they said that. So.
Yeah, so I thought the whole joke was that it was cheaters.
No.
But Jack actually has it spelled as cheetahs. Like, I don't. Get back to us on that, Jack. Okay, cheetah is
also a writer, so I'm going to take his word for it.
Cheetahs is also the name of the gentleman's club featured in 1995's camp classic Showgirls. Oh my God, that film, which is possibly Mac's third favorite film.
Great taste, Mac.
Now I get it. That's great, Jack.
Oh, McAllister. Oh my God. All right. The meatpacking plant was a real meatpacking plant, and as the day went on, the smells got stronger and stronger. Our ace special effects supervisor, Adam Horworth, had one shot at getting the blood spray on the wall, and he timed it perfectly, helped by Dan's excellent reaction to it all. It was great, and I'm curious now if that smell was worse than the cat pee in the winter last year. So if anybody can tell us, we would love to hear that.
I think we're going to have to ask Dan that. Oh, that's too funny. Okay. The train driver of the train Mac and Chetri hijack is reading a comic called Laptop Guy, which is a comic Jack Lothian, wrote a few years ago and is available from all good online retailers. is available from all good online retailers. The idea that an Albanian train driver would be sitting and reading it is possibly the most far-fetched part of the episode. Okay, that's a laptop guy, everyone. I know you're all going to want to hunt that down.
Okay. There's definitely a Western theme running through the show at times this year. We've got a train holdup followed by a shootout in a barn. By the time we got to episode 10, the phrase, "it's basically a Western," had been banned from set. Banned by you? I'm intrigued.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, our last Jack's Facts for this episode. Ivana looking down the camera at the end was something we tried on set just as a variation. Normally, we'd never break the fourth wall like that, but the idea was that she was promising the audience that she'd chase down and kill the team was too good for us to cut out. Whether or not she'll succeed is another matter.
Ooh. Well, it was very effective. I mean, I'm really glad that y'all went that way because that was phenomenal. And I keep seeing in interviews with Jack the phrase, "there's a bullet with everyone's name on it," whether or not it hits or misses is up for debate. And now I'm like, God damn it, Jack! Anyways, all right. That's it for Jack's Facts. Stay tuned for It's Not Wyatt's Fault.
Oh, it so is.
On me. Back to the crib.
Okay, we are back to have a little chat with our man Wyatt about what the hell there, Wyatt. You got your team getting hit in a strip club while you're thinking with your dick. What is going on?
Well, see, that's what it may look like to the untrained eye, but what I was actually doing was distracting and running interference with a stripper. Hey, and what a Nina Seneca, what a beautiful actress and a beautiful human being, and so much fun, and just brought so much comedy and life to that scene. She was great. And sorry, I just got distracted. And
Exactly.
In character.
Pouring rain, it was freezing, and then we bounce around on the CCTV console, and it was like, oh, can you like cover like my left butt cheek? She's like, can you just kind of cover like my right nipple? I was like, yeah. Like it's like actor versus camera twister, while still trying to look relaxed and spontaneous. She was great. But look, Wyatt was doing his job. They told him to go and monitor the CCTV room. He certainly didn't take his eyes off the screens. He had a very good vantage point there where he could see the screens and the door. He had access to his gun, even though he was making friends with the locals. And as anyone will know, that if you're going to go undercover, you have to blend in. And I think Wyatt, again, was just doing a really good job of blending in like a bunch of seedy men at that strip club. So, again, all worked out fine. And everybody had a good time. And I was able to chase Lorik and do that really cool scene in the fight scene in the Meat Packers. And again, I don't.
Oh my God, there's
Packers.
lines that I could use in what you just said.
Dude, look, it was a hard task.
Meat Packers, dude.
Well, look, guys. I like to keep the Sit Rep podcast out of the gutter, but again, I think you're mistaken that Wyatt was just doing extra due diligence and being extra professional in that sense. So, again, just back off.
We're not at Xville. Stay with us at the crib.
Welcome back, viewers. We are so excited to welcome our guest today. She has been the hair and makeup designer for the last 2 seasons and has really gone above and beyond this season. Can't wait for you to see a really stellar moment coming up. So welcome to the show, Sjaan. Gillings.
Oh, thank you for the
And I
introduction.
said her name wrong. So welcome to the show, Sjaan Gillings.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, we are so excited to have you on. I think first, one of the things we like to do, especially with some of the technical people that we have come on, is just talk a little bit about your job in general. Sort of what made you want to do that, and kind of what your job involves on set when you go to work.
What makes me want to do it? I'm not sure. I just love my work. I mean, I think it's very rare that we all kind of wake up in the morning and kind of go, I want to go to work. And that's partly, I suppose, because of the people, and every job brings different challenges, so you never get bored. What my job entitles, a lot of things really. I suppose predominantly it's to design the looks of each character, hair and makeup, and sort of track their storyline and their progression of their character. But also on a bigger picture, it's we're kind of the go-to people for the actors. We see them probably at their worst in the mornings, and we're kind of, in a way, partly their voice to get across what they envision their character should be or look like, and also partly the production's voice to them and what they envision. So generally it's just trying to get sort of every sort of corner of the show, so to speak, on the same page, and then we can move forward and then create looks. So hopefully we keep everybody happy. And then when we're all on the same page, then sometimes that allows us to be more creative as a hair and makeup designer. But I think for me, I really like a happy boat. So sometimes it's more important to make sure other people are on the same page and they get what they want. But if all the stars align, then I also get, a little bigger chunk of that pie to be a bit more creative.
Okay, this has nothing to do with hair and makeup, but is that your cat up over your shoulder? Is that a black kitty?
It is. It's a British blue. We've got two, and they're both blind.
Oh, so. You're kidding. Okay, people, she has like cat shit all the way up to the ceiling, and the cat's just over her, way in the back and shoulder, at the top of the ceiling.
I'm surprised you could see that from there.
I love black kitties, so
oh,
like, there's a little black kitty, or it's a bat. I'm not sure. I think it's probably a kitty though.
Yeah, they kind of blend in with the grey decor, don't they? Yeah. But yeah, they're gorgeous. I miss them when I'm away.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So a question. I mean, on a show like this where you have a fairly large cast that has every day could have some pretty complicated makeup needs in terms of prosthetics and wounds, and then you also have all the baddies coming in who are going to need some pretty explosive wound makeup that maybe we only see for a few seconds, but it still needs to be there. How do you keep control over something that, you're shooting different scenes, different locations, and, not necessarily in chronological order, in fact, rarely in chronological order? How do you keep track of where makeup needs to be on any given day on a timeline?
We do like a continuity sort of file that we call the Bible. So I break down every scene for every single character and where their look is at that moment in that scene, whether they get shot or blown up, whether it's injuries or clean, or if we've lost injuries. So generally that's kind of the key starting point. And then I just trust my team to maintain the notes, and things change on set. So, I mean, there's been many times where you sort of had your meetings with the directors and producers, and it's like, oh, yeah, let's do a bullet wound here. They get shot. It'd be great. And then you've kind of prepared the bullet wound, and you're like, right, it's going on today. And then they'll go, oh, we'll run out of time. We don't have time to spray some blood on it. It'll be fine. It's like, okay. So I think it's just really to be very organized and, and trust that your team that are on set sort of log any of those little changes that may happen. And then just fingers crossed and hope for the best.
So I'm curious about what you were saying about how being the voice for the actors and then being the voice for the producers and stuff. So I had heard a story way back about Colin O'Donoghue on Once Upon a Time, and how he had this sort of vision of his character Hook having longer hair than everybody else had, and he kept skipping haircuts until it got to the point where like they had to just leave it because he sort of forced the issue. So I am curious with you, in particular with the main sort of Dan and Warren and Alen and Jamie and Barada, if there were things that they sort of pushed that they envisioned for their characters that you kind of had to go to bat with them for.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, Aileen always wanted her hair shorter, sharper. So I think the first season for me was probably the hardest because I didn't really know them or, directors, producers and how the show run. So, you'd always kind of sort of bing and bang between the two.
Yeah.
It was easier on the last season because I know how they think and what they're going, and with the with producers, directors. But I think there was a few sort of backwards and forwards, but I think generally everything kind of gets worked out with little conversations. And I suppose in a way it's like when you read a book, everybody envisions everything very differently. So what you see when you read a book is completely different to somebody else. But generally, the keys are all in place because it's all written there. So yeah, I don't know. It's so difficult. I mean, if they're really adamant on something, then they normally probably get their own way, unless there's a logical reason or maybe a legal reason why we can't do that. But there wasn't anything nothing major where they didn't come in for haircuts. So no, I think in that sense it was fairly easy. I think it was mostly things like, like Novin had a couple of different wigs, so it was just, sort of going through loads of wigs and finding what they preferred, what Novin preferred. And I think mostly with the boys, it was whether we hide their tattoos or change them slightly for, sort of legal reasons. But yeah, I think basically everybody came out with what they wanted in a way. So they were really good, actually, the actors and production. There was never really any major sort of, you can't have this or you're not there was always, I think generally when you kind of sort of put forward an idea and explain the reasoning behind, it opens the dialogue. And I think sometimes we're just the ones that kind of explain the reasoning or the logic behind why they're thinking that. And once everybody sort of starts thinking, it gets easier. So on this, there wasn't any major disputes.
I'm glad you brought, you mentioned the tattoos and legal reasons. And when you said, there's legal reasons we can't do something. And I immediately thought, well, what would legally prevent you from some sort of makeup? But can you explain maybe an incident that did pop up where you had to cover something or? Yeah,
Warren's got a tattoo that he had sort of between the last season and this season. And it's a copyright issue because it's a well-known tattoo artist. So we just had to change it a little bit so we weren't falling into copyright issues. But copyright issues pretty much always come up where there's tattoos. So
you don't really own your own skin.
No, well, the way it was explained to me is when you have a tattoo done, you're obviously paying for the artists, and that's for you to, it's your skin.
Yeah.
But when you're being paid to be on screen with somebody else's work, then that becomes a copyright issue. That's the way it was explained to me. So I hope I've explained it clearly, because it's still
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense. Or it's just like using music without paying for the rights to use the music.
Yeah.
Using an image without.
So I'm curious, what do you think between last season and the first couple of episodes of this season, what has been the most difficult of the makeup or prosthetics or effects to do?
Gosh, I think it's always the bigger ones that include like a silicone prosthetic, because it always means you need time. So it's not so much the difficulty of doing it, it's the difficulty of doing it within a certain time gap. And Strike Back's so fast paced that you sometimes lose that time. So it's like, Sjaan, you said you need an hour and a half. Can you do it in like an hour? And then you're like, yeah, I'll try my best. So I think it's more the time scale rather than any piece. And then, it's always, if you've got blood pumps, it's always fingers crossed that it spurts out in the way you want it to go. Pipes haven't been squashed and the blood's not getting through. So I think those are, I think that's probably the hardest, is the time. Any last minute things, like, I can't say. But yeah, last minute things kind of crop up and you kind of go, I'm not sure I've got that, but I'll have a look. And then you just ping something together out of what you got and kind of go, yeah, made it, survived another day.
So let's back this up a little bit before Strike Back, before, doing this for a living. How does somebody get into doing makeup television? Because it's especially the prosthetics is, that's a pretty big learning curve. So where does one get that curve?
I think hair and makeup generally, I don't know. I just trained when I was 20 to do hair and makeup, and you kind of just cross your fingers and, kind of go the way life takes you. And as everybody in their careers, you start off with, I'd like to do this, and you research it, and then you just hope for the best. Prosthetics kind of comes in a little bit later. We dabbled with it sort of on the hair and makeup course that I did many, many years ago. And as you do more jobs and prosthetic comes into play, you kind of watch those with, great knowledge and experience, and you kind of learn from them. And then I did some bits with sort of companies as sort of assisting. And then it's just really learning as you go from, other people that sort of specialise in that. So although I do prosthetics, I'm shit at sculpting. I can manage a bullet wound and some cuts and grazes, but anything bigger, it's not my forte. So I'll always hand that over to people with much better knowledge and skill than I have. But I do love the application. I actually enjoy the making of the silicone. So once they've done all the hard work and given me the mold, I enjoy the next process. So I think as you sort of go further in your career and you kind of suss out what your own weaks and strengths are, it just makes learning new things, a bit more fun. But yes, I'm completely aware that I have my capabilities, and once I step out of that, I pass the baton, and thankfully they always deliver. So yeah, just a good team around you.
And do you get to form your own team? Is that?
Yeah, you do. I'm with Strike Back, I've been very lucky. They when you sort of film overseas, they allow you to bring somebody that you've worked with a lot before, so as you've got kind of that support, you know how they work. On this season, I took Michelle. We've worked together before. I know how she thinks. She knows how I like things done. And then we just crew up locally for the rest of the team. So on this season, it was a team of 8. So I crewed up the rest sort of locally Croatian team who were amazing. And I was so very lucky. I had a very good team, all different personalities, but they all came together as a team and very supportive and eager to learn new bits. And, you know, we learnt from them. So, yeah, I mean, it's always daunting crewing a team from a different country because you don't know their standards, what they can and can't do. You kind of go in a bit blind and hope for the best. But I've been very lucky.
Yeah. So I'm curious if you can talk, because I feel like Strike Back, like a lot of action shows, has to walk this sort of fine line on makeup where the actors have to look like what we expect the beautiful, flawless actors to look like, but also look dirty and sweaty and like they're soldiers in the field. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you sort of walk that line and make that effect.
I think you just have to say sweat and dirt and blood is sexy.
We agree.
I mean, it's a difficult one, but I think, you know, we're very lucky. All the girls have had, and the boys have all had sort of very beautiful, clear skin, which is always a good base to work from. It makes our life easier. With Dan and Warren, it was like the more dirt and blood and sweat you put on them, the more rough and ready and they were. Yeah. And the girls were, you know, Aileen's great. She just wants to look like her character. You know, she's happy to forego certain little magic tricks for when she's in the field. And the same with V and Yasmin from the last season. So that makes it very easy. I think what becomes very difficult is when you have an actor who still holds on to wanting to be beautiful, because the two don't necessarily always sort of gel. But I think, you know, we were just extremely lucky to have actors that were happy to bear themselves. You know, we'd always do, you know, if they're a bit tired, we'd always do a bit of concealer and, you know, a little bit of bronzer if, you know, they're having a little rough day or, you know, feeling tired. Because, you know, to be 6-7 months away from home on a constant thing, the job goes on, you do get tired and you catch bugs. So, you know, on those times, we'd obviously implement a few more beauty tricks to kind of hide, and hopefully it doesn't really show. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but I lucked out. What can I say?
Well, I would say it's not just luck. Yeah, because you weren't around for the first season with this new team. And I think Deb and I both had some sort of issues with the way the makeup was done, in particular on Roxanne McKee's character, who had all the like sparkly, she'd be in the field with like sparkly eyeshadow, and it was so like, this is not what you, like any female soldier knows, nobody's going to go home and put on sparkly eyeshadow and eyeliner and all that. So it's not just luck. You've also managed to, it like 100% better
thank you.
Last season. So it really is, but it's just amazing. I mean, we talked to Victoria Smurfette, and she's talking about when she came on, and she's like, she was insanely sick shooting, and she's like, and I've got sweat, but it's like sick sweat like pouring down her face. And I just think that ability to, I don't know, I'm just like, it's just amazing. It's incredible work you do.
Oh, thank you. Victoria was great, and she never complains. But, you know, I think with anybody on any job, you just get on with it, and you just do your best, and, you know, that's all you I don't know, that's all you can really hope for. And, I mean, the actors are kind of, in a way, the unsung heroes, because they're not feeling well. All we have to do is mop up sweat or snot or whatever, but they still have to perform. So we, in a way, we get it easy, because if we're sick, we can kind of, look like shit and nobody cares.
And they don't need to mop up whatever for you.
Aw, I'm sure they would, though.
Yeah, I think they would too. Obviously, you have a lot. It's a long haul on this show, and there are days that are tough. But you obviously have a lot of fun on set and behind scenes. Is there a particular day that was like just really just out of control fun?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Or a running gag that was going on?
I mean, there's daily gags. I think it's like a family. So, if something happened the day before, everybody would just rib them the next day. And I think, like, with the actors and the makeup truck, because we're the first sort of place that's up and running, there'd always be, Aileen, Dan and Warren would always be fighting over the music speaker. It's like it's like whoever's in my chair can have control of the speaker. And there'd always be little, like, but I think so long as you get the morning going, it kind of sets the day. And I think, for me, I suppose it's like I have a running gag with Dan, who plays Wyatt, and we both love sort of cheesy 80s music.
Yeah.
So we'd always
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, and Top Gun, and it would drive everybody insane. So it's like if Dan was in the bad mood, you'd only have to put Top Gun on and he'd kind of get up and, all of a sudden sort of start, and, Warren would, he's great. He'll probably kill me for saying, but he's great at doing accents. So, he could always get, us going with a cheeky Irish accent, or, every actor brought something that you could find a way to lift their mood or their day. And the running gags, I don't know, I think would probably change on a daily basis depending on what's gone on the day before. But I think when you're away from home for so long, the whole crew and all the cast, it's kind of like an extended family. So everybody looks out for everybody and, makes jokes and cheers people up or comforts them if they're missing family, or, so yeah, I don't know. It's just great. It's a real family away from family.
So what do you think is the hardest thing about having worked on Strike Back compared to other jobs you've done?
Going on to other jobs, not to be bored. I mean, Strike Back, you don't have a minute to breathe. It's complete and utter organized chaos. You've got 2 units shooting most days. Sometimes your units are an hour, 2 hours apart from each other. Loads of injuries. Every day you're making something. There's blood, sweat and dirt every single day. Makeup bags going backwards and forwards, and constant continuity sort of going, oh my God, did we do this? Have we done that? Quick, get that bag out. So I think, when you kind of go on to normal jobs, you have the time. And so I think for me, it'll be like that. Oh my God, I'm supposed to be doing something, but not knowing what I'm meant to be doing. And then realizing, I'm not on Strike Back. I don't need to make any injuries. I don't have 2 units to look after. But no, I think every job's different, and every job brings its challenges and its quirks. And I think, I don't know, for me, I'm at my happiest when I'm problem solving.
I think you'll find that if you talk to anyone who's worked on Strike Back in any job, that's their answer is like that I'm not working on Strike Back. That the next thing isn't more Strike Back.
Yeah.
Is there anything that injury-wise or makeup-wise that you always wanted to try? Something new on Strike Back that you didn't get to do that's maybe still a goal out there?
I don't
like a
know.
big nasty femur fracture or
I did that on another job.
Ah,
On Strike Back. I did try to get that on Strike
but it would
Back.
have been nastier on Strike Back.
Nasty on Strike Back for sure. But no, we did talk about it actually, a femur fracture, and it was on the table. It was a definite kind of go-to, but I think again it's that time constraint, you know, where you run out of time, and because there's so much going on with Strike Back and 2-unit shooting, you know, if you need an hour and a half or 2 hours to do something, and they're like, oh, I don't think we're going to have time, we'll cut that and we'll do, you know, just a normal bullet wound. You're like, okay, that's fine, I've got loads of them in stock, that will be fine. But no, I mean, we covered impalement, you know, bullets and burns, blown off limbs. I don't know how much more I can say.
Nope, that's good. So you covered a lot.
And may I say that impalement in Black One was pretty awesome.
I mean, God, if anybody was to go through my computer and look at my research history, I'm sure I'd have a few agencies knocking on my door.
Yeah, I could see that. That's funny. Well, thank you so much, you know, for all that. And we always ask one final question. Deb got this question from Philip Winchester during an interview with him, and he said, for Strike Back, because it's such a different beast and you kind of slog through this, you know, grueling 6-month thing, but you could look back on it with rose-colored glasses, he always likes to ask people what their highs and lows for the season were. So we'd like to know yours.
Without giving anything away, because I can only talk about EPs 1 and 2, I suppose surviving Strike Back is a high.
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody survived it with no casualty or injury, for the amount of explosions and bits. My highs, I guess, the people, the cast, the locations. You know, we've forged friends for life on both seasons that I've done across, you know, Malaysia and Croatia. Yeah, I'm going to miss it. And I suppose the lows are, I'm not going to miss the 4 a.m. get-ups or the, you know, late night calls asking to come in early to do something that we hadn't planned or spoke about, and just going, oh, I hope I've got everything. But I don't know, they're not so much lows. They're also highs in a way, because you solve it and you come out going, God, yes. But yeah, I'm gonna miss it. Miss the people, miss the cast. No real lows, mostly highs.
Thanks, and tune in next week for another Need to Know session at the Crib. Follow us on Twitter @StrikeBackCrib. Out.